Have you ever closed your eyes and imagined yourself speaking another language fluently?
Yeah.
Really living it and not just, reciting verb conjugations and stuff?
Yeah.
Well, today, we're diving deep into this whole world of visualization and how it can unlock fluency in ways you might not expect.
Okay.
We're pulling some gems from a podcast episode about the law of attraction and language learning.
Interesting.
And get this, it suggests that just by imagining yourself speaking fluently, you can actually trick your brain into making it a reality.
It's fascinating how visualization really taps into our brain's natural learning processes.
Yeah.
We often hear about athletes using it to improve performance,
Right.
but its application in language learning is truly groundbreaking.
Okay, so it's more than just wishful thinking. There's actual real science behind this.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Studies show that when we engage in mental imagery, our brains actually activate the same regions.
Wow.
As if we were physically practicing the skill.
So if I vividly picture myself ordering a croissant in perfect French,
Yeah.
my brain is firing up those neural pathways as if I'm actually doing it in a Parisian bakery.
Precisely. And the more detailed your visualization,
Okay.
the more powerful the impact.
I see.
Think about those mirror neurons we often hear about.
Right.
They fire both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else doing it.
Yeah.
Visualization is essentially tricking those neurons into thinking we're already speaking the language,
Wow.
accelerating that learning process.
That's incredible. So it's like giving my brain a sneak peek of fluency,
Yeah,
which kind of jumpstarts everything.
exactly. The brain begins to establish those neural connections and build the pathways necessary for language production.
Yeah.
And this concept ties in beautifully with the law of attraction, which the podcast delves into as well.
Right. The idea that we attract what we focus on.
Exactly.
I'm sensing a connection here.
It's all about shifting your mindset. Imagine, those negative thoughts we often have, like, oh, I'm terrible at languages or I'll never be fluent.
Right.
They create mental roadblocks.
Yeah.
But by visualizing success, you replace those negative thoughts with positive, empowering ones, essentially attracting fluency into your reality.
So it's like replacing a mental detour sign with a superhighway to fluency.
Exactly. You're no longer focusing on limitations, but on the possibilities, which paves the way for real progress.
Yeah.
Think about it. Have you ever noticed how your mindset influences your experiences?
Now that you mention it, when I truly believed I could ace a presentation, it went so much smoother.
Exactly. Visualization allows you to tap into that same power of belief,
Right.
but this time you're directing it towards your language goals.
Okay.
It's about creating that internal conviction that fluency is not only possible, but inevitable.
Okay. I'm definitely starting to see the power of this approach.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, have you personally experienced the benefits of visualization even outside of language learning?
It's funny you ask. Public speaking used to be a major source of anxiety for me.
Really?
But I started incorporating visualization techniques,
Okay.
imagining myself confidently delivering a presentation, engaging with the audience,
Yeah.
and feeling that sense of accomplishment.
Right.
And honestly, the results were incredible.
Wow. So you actually felt a difference.
The nervousness didn't disappear entirely,
Right.
but it was significantly reduced.
Okay.
I felt more prepared,
Uh-huh.
more in control.
Yeah.
And that, in turn, boosted my confidence.
That's a great example of how a simple mental shift can create a ripple effect impacting our performance in such a positive way.
Yeah,
It seems like visualization is more than just a whimsical technique.
right.
There's real substance to it.
Absolutely. And when it comes to language learning, the possibilities are truly exciting.
Okay.
The podcast outlines several practical techniques that can be incorporated into your learning routine.
Okay. I'm all ears. I'm sure our listeners are eager to learn how to put this into practice. Let's dive into those techniques and explore how they can pave the way for fluency.
Sounds good. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of visualization for language learning.
I'm still amazed by how our brains can't really distinguish between a vivid visualization and actually performing the action.
Right.
It's like a mental cheat code for fluency.
It really is. And speaking of cheat codes, the podcast episode we're exploring offers some practical visualization techniques
Okay.
that can really supercharge your language learning.
Okay, let's unlock those secrets. What's the first technique we should explore?
One powerful technique is called mental rehearsal.
Okay.
It's all about practicing conversations in your mind
Okay.
before they happen in real life.
So kind of like a dress rehearsal for my brain before I hit the stage of real-life conversations.
Precisely, you're essentially creating a mental simulation, picturing yourself in specific scenarios where you need to use the language.
Okay.
Imagine yourself ordering food at a restaurant,
Right.
asking for directions, or having a casual chat with a native speaker.
I can see how that would help build confidence and reduce those awkward moments of hesitation we all experience when speaking a new language.
Exactly. And the more detailed your mental rehearsal,
Okay.
the better.
Got it.
Engage all your senses.
Okay.
Don't just focus on the words you're saying,
Yeah.
but also visualize the environment, the other person's reactions, even your own body language.
So if I'm picturing myself ordering tapas in Spain,
Yeah.
I shouldn't just focus on the words una cerveza, por favor,
Right.
but also imagine like the bustling atmosphere of the tapas bar,
Exactly.
the aroma of sizzling garlic and paprika,
Yes.
the friendly smile of the bartender.
You got it. By engaging all your senses, you create a richer, more immersive experience for your brain, making the visualization more powerful and memorable.
Right.
It's almost like you've already lived the experience,
Wow.
which reinforces those neural pathways even further.
This is starting to sound less like studying and more like planning a mental vacation.
And the best part is you can take these mental vacations anytime, anywhere.
Right.
But mental rehearsal is just one technique.
Okay.
The podcast also highlights the importance of connecting with your future fluent self.
Oh, okay.
They call this technique future self visualization.
Ooh, I like where this is going. Tell me more.
Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself in the future having already achieved fluency in your target language.
Okay.
Where are you, what are you doing? Who are you talking to?
Uh-huh.
And most importantly, how does it feel?
Okay, let me see. I'm imagining myself in a bustling market in Morocco, confidently haggling with a vendor over the price of some beautiful hand-woven rugs.
Okay.
I'm effortlessly switching between Arabic and French, laughing and joking with the locals.
Wow.
And I feel this incredible sense of accomplishment, knowing that I can communicate and connect with people from a completely different culture.
That's a fantastic visualization. And notice how you naturally incorporated multiple languages into your scenario.
Yeah.
That's a great way to train your brain for real-world situations where you might need to switch between languages seamlessly.
It's almost like giving my brain a dress rehearsal for multilingualism.
Right.
But how does simply imagining this future self actually help me get there? It seems a bit like wishful thinking, doesn't it?
It might seem that way on the surface.
Yeah.
But it's all about rewiring your subconscious beliefs.
Okay.
By consistently visualizing yourself as a fluent speaker, you start to embody that identity.
Uh-huh.
You begin to believe it's possible.
Yeah.
And that belief becomes a driving force.
It's like planting a seed in my subconscious mind, a seed that will eventually blossom into fluency.
That's a beautiful analogy. And remember, the more vivid and emotionally charged your visualizations are,
Yeah.
the more deeply they imprint on your subconscious mind, accelerating your progress.
Okay.
The podcast even suggests writing down your future self vision and rereading it regularly to further solidify those positive beliefs.
So instead of just daydreaming about fluency, I should be actively creating a detailed mental roadmap, like a vision board, for my language learning journey.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the visual aspect.
Right.
Engage all your senses. What sounds do you hear? What emotions are you feeling?
Uh-huh.
The more immersive the experience,
Yeah.
the more powerful its impact on your subconscious mind.
This is starting to feel like a mental makeover for my language learning approach, out with the old limiting beliefs and in with a powerful fluency-focused mindset.
I love that. And remember, you're not alone on this journey.
Right.
The podcast shares some truly inspiring stories
Okay.
of people who've used these very techniques to achieve incredible results with language learning.
You know, those real-life success stories always give me a boost of motivation.
Right.
It's one thing to hear about the theory, but knowing that it's actually worked for others makes it feel more tangible, more achievable. It's
Got
like
it.
if they can do it. So
Exactly.
can you remind us of some of those inspiring examples?
Absolutely. One story that really stood out was Anna's journey. She's a business professional who used to dread the thought of speaking English in meetings. But she started incorporating visualization techniques, picturing herself confidently presenting her ideas,
Right.
engaging in discussions, and even cracking a few jokes.
Yes, Anna. I remember her story. She ended up nailing that big presentation, didn't she?
She did. And it all started with shifting her mindset through visualization.
Wow.
She replaced those negative thoughts with a vision of herself as a confident, capable English speaker.
Yeah.
And that shift in belief translated into real-world results.
It's amazing how those mental rehearsals can break down those mental barriers we often create for ourselves.
Yeah.
It's like giving our brains a new script to follow a script that leads to fluency and confidence.
Exactly. And then there's Ahmed, a student who was preparing for a high-stakes English proficiency exam.
Uh-huh.
He was feeling incredibly stressed and overwhelmed, but he decided to give visualization a try.
He was the one who aced that notoriously difficult exam, right?
He did that. Ahmed used mental rehearsal to visualize himself calmly and confidently answering the examiner's questions, using a wide range of vocabulary and grammar structures.
Wow.
He even imagined himself receiving his results with a feeling of pride and accomplishment.
It's incredible how he used visualization to manage those exam nerves and ultimately achieve his desired outcome.
It's a testament to the power of our minds to shape our reality.
Right.
And let's not forget Maria, the travel enthusiast who dreamed of exploring the world,
Uh-huh.
but felt held back by her limited English skills.
She was the one who was hesitant to travel because of her language skills, right?
Exactly. Maria started using visualization to picture herself confidently interacting with locals in different countries, ordering food, asking for directions, and even having meaningful conversations.
And did she end up taking that dream trip?
She did, and she had an amazing experience by consistently visualizing herself as a confident English speaker. Maria built up her courage and ultimately turned her dream into a reality.
I love how those success stories showcase not just fluency gains, but also like the personal growth and empowerment that come with conquering those language barriers.
Absolutely. These stories highlight how visualization can be a catalyst for positive change, not just in our language skills, but also in our overall lives.
Right.
It's about embracing new possibilities and stepping into a more confident, empowered version of ourselves.
I'm feeling so inspired by these examples. It's clear that visualization isn't just a passive daydream. It's an active tool we can use to shape our reality one mental image at a time.
And the best part is that these techniques are available to everyone, regardless of age, background, or learning style.
Right.
It's a truly accessible approach to enhancing language acquisition and unlocking a world of opportunities.
It seems like there's a lot more to this visualization thing than meets the eye.
Yeah.
We've only just scratched the surface. Are there any other techniques or insights from the podcast that we should explore?
The podcast delves deeper into how to make visualization a more integrated part of your learning process. It even suggests ways to use it to improve vocabulary retention. Want to hear more?
Absolutely. I'm eager to learn how to maximize the power of visualization and incorporate it into my own language learning routine. We're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into this fascinating world of visualization for language learning.
Right.
You know, it's amazing how something as simple as creating mental pictures can have such a profound impact on our ability to learn a new language.
Yeah, it really speaks to the incredible power of our minds.
Yeah.
And how they can shape our reality.
Right.
We've already explored some powerful techniques like mental rehearsal and future self-visualization. But the podcast episode we're exploring has even more to offer.
I'm all ears, especially if it involves more of those mental vacation techniques we talked about earlier.
Okay.
Learning a new language should be an enjoyable adventure, not a tedious chore.
I completely agree. And this next technique takes that sensory immersion to a whole new level. It's called sensory visualization.
Yeah.
And it's all about incorporating all 5 senses into your visualizations, not just sight.
So instead of just picturing myself speaking the language, I should also try to hear it, smell it, even taste it.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit like synesthesia, but for language learning.
That's a great analogy. The idea is to make the visualization as real and vivid as possible for your brain.
Okay.
The more senses you engage, the more deeply you embed the experience in your memory, strengthening those neural connections.
Okay. I'm intrigued, but how do I actually put this into practice? Can you give me a concrete example?
Absolutely. Let's say you're learning Italian and you want to visualize yourself ordering a cappuccino
Okay.
at a charming cafe in Rome.
Okay.
Don't just picture the scene.
Right.
Try to hear the rhythmic flow of the Italian language,
The
clinking of cups, the murmur of conversations around you.
Okay. I can hear the gentle hum of the espresso machine and the barista's warm greeting. Buongiorno, cosa desidera?
Exactly. Now imagine the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee filling the air.
Okay.
The taste of that perfectly frothed cappuccino on your lips. Even the sensation of the warm cup in your hands.
Wow. I can practically taste the bittersweet chocolate sprinkled on top. It feels like I'm transported to that Roman cafe.
Yeah.
It's amazing how engaging all those senses makes the experience so much more real and memorable.
And that's precisely the point. By creating these multi-sensory experiences in your mind, you're not just passively visualizing, you're actively engaging your brain in the learning process.
Right. This technique is a game changer. I can see how it would be incredibly effective for immersing yourself in the language and culture, even if you're not physically in that environment.
And the beauty of it is that you can apply this technique to any scenario you can imagine.
Yeah.
Whether you're practicing a conversation, giving a presentation, or simply exploring a new city.
Right.
Sensory visualization can enhance the experience and accelerate your learning.
So it's like creating my own virtual reality language immersion program, all within the power of my own mind.
Exactly. And it's completely free and accessible anytime, anywhere. You don't need any fancy equipment or software.
Yeah.
Just your imagination and a willingness to experiment.
This is truly unlocking a new dimension of language learning.
Right.
But, as we're talking about all these techniques, I'm realizing that visualization isn't just a separate activity I do for a few minutes a day.
Yeah.
It's something I can weave into all aspects of my learning routine.
That's a brilliant insight. The podcast actually touches on that as well.
Okay.
They specifically suggest using visualization when learning new vocabulary.
I'm usually a flashcards and repetition kind of learner. How can visualization help me with that?
Instead of just trying to memorize isolated words, imagine yourself using those words in a real-life situation.
Okay.
Create a mini mental movie where you're actively using the new vocabulary in a natural conversation.
So if I'm learning the German word Fahrrad for bicycle, I could visualize myself cycling through a picturesque German town, feeling the wind in my hair and asking a local for directions to the nearest bakery.
Exactly. And don't forget to add in those sensory details. Imagine the sound of the cobblestone streets, the smell of freshly baked bread wafting from the bakery, the feeling of the handlebars in your hands.
This is so much more engaging than just staring at flashcards by creating a story around the word and connecting it to a personal experience.
Yeah.
I'm giving my brain a reason to remember it.
That's precisely how our brains are wired to learn. We remember things better when they're associated with a meaningful context, an emotion, or sensory experience. Visualization taps into this natural learning process and makes it much easier to acquire and retain new vocabulary.
Right, this is like a complete mental makeover for my vocabulary learning strategy.
Oh.
And speaking of makeovers, I can't help but think back to those inspiring success stories from the podcast.
Yeah.
They really highlighted how these techniques can translate into real-world results.
Those stories are a powerful reminder that visualization isn't just a theoretical concept. It's a practical tool that has helped countless people achieve their language goals.
It's one thing to hear about the science behind it, but those personal anecdotes make it feel so much more tangible and achievable. It's like, if they can do it, so can I.
Exactly. It's about shifting from a mindset of doubt and limitation to one of possibility and empowerment, and visualization provides the tools to make that shift.
As we're wrapping up this deep dive, I'm struck by the fact that visualization isn't just about achieving fluency, it's about so much more than that.
I couldn't agree more. It's about cultivating a growth mindset, boosting our confidence, and expanding our perception of what's possible.
It's about embracing the journey of language learning and seeing ourselves as capable, resourceful individuals who can achieve anything we set our minds to.
And I think that's a powerful message to leave our listeners with.
Absolutely. So, dear listeners, we encourage you to embrace the power of visualization and start experimenting with these techniques today.
See yourself speaking the language fluently. Feel the confidence radiating through your. You hear the rhythm and intonation of your voice.
And most importantly, believe in your ability to achieve your language goals.
Because when you combine the power of visualization with consistent effort and a positive attitude, anything is possible.
So until next time, keep those mental images flowing and those language skills growing.
Happy visualizing.